Rappers and music producers, Curtis Key at CurtisKingTV.com, and I want to read something to you that helps me whenever I start to care too much about what people are thinking about me, how people are judging me, or even just think about all the work and energy that I give other people. There's a part from this book called The Slight Edge that always reminds me and humbles me about people's bullshit. Let's talk about it. Rappers and music producers, once again, the book that I am going to be reading from is Jeff Olson's The Slight Edge. This book is so important to my process and so important to my life only because it teaches you the importance of really what is your slight edge over your competition, slight edge towards your goal. It's those small incremental changes that you make on a daily basis that ultimately lead you to your goal. And there's a lot of things that this book's go through. I mean, it's like over 300 something pages in this book, but it's such gold. But one thing that stands out to me is something that Jeff Olson says about funerals and what it taught him, especially when he found himself being afraid of what a potential client would say, because at this time he was like a door-to-door salesman and he was afraid about being rejected. And for any of you out there that are afraid of rejection, you're afraid of being judged, please take a seat and have some patience as I read this to you, because it may surprise you in terms of all these people around you that you think are of importance, all these people around you that you're trying to impress or make sure that you're not embarrassing yourself in front of. This may be very humbling. It was very humbling for me to even see this. But in the midst of Jeff Olson going off on his journey to basically get the business of other small businesses and trying to get them and sell them on things, he read an article about funerals in which there were some studies done that brought up some very interesting results. Here's what he says. At the average funeral, I read about 10 people cry. I couldn't believe it. I had to read the paragraph over again to make sure I'd gotten it right. 10 people. Is that it? You mean I go through my entire life, spend years enduring all those trials and tribulations and achievements and joys and heartbreaks, and at the end of it, there are only 10 people in the world who care enough to show up and cry? He went on to the next paragraph and it got worse. Once those 10 or fewer people had yanked their hankies and honked their snoozes, and my funeral was over, the number one factor that would determine how many people would go on from the funeral to attend the actual burial would be, drumroll, the fucking weather. What? The weather? Yes, if it happened to be raining, said the article's author, 50% of the people who attended my funeral would decide maybe they wouldn't go on to attend my burial after all and just head home. You mean I'm lying there dead at the grand conclusion of everything I've ever said and done, of everything I call my life, in those final moments when my entire existence is called to account and acknowledged and memorialized by those nearest and dearest to me? Those whose lives I've most deeply and profoundly touched, and half the congregation checks out halfway through because it starts to rain? It's crazy, right? He said when he thought about that, it really bummed him out. He said, when I first read it, this really bummed me out. But now sitting there in my car outside that little drugstore in Gainesville, I discovered it was liberating. You know what? He said to himself, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks of what I'm doing anymore. If the odds are that iffy as to whether or not they even cry at my funeral, and chances are no better than 50-50 that they'll duck out before I'm planted if the sky happens to cry for me more than the people do, then why am I spending so much time worrying about what they're thinking now? Damn. Why would I be afraid of rejection? Why would I care about having a door or two slammed in my face? Why would I be concerned about what the majority thinks or worry about what the 95% say, think, or do? So as you start to think about that, rappers and music producers, and you're thinking about all those things that you're afraid of, all those people you're worried about being rejected by, I want you to come back to this video and I want you to really think about those stats. There are so many people around you that you are helping, that you are giving everything, sort of under the understanding that if something were to happen to me, they would honor me in some way. Truth of the matter is, the majority of the people that you're coming in contact with, especially in the music industry, won't even be at your funeral. It's pretty humbling. It's pretty fucked up, isn't it? But it's the truth. And it's not something that you should be discouraged by, but it's something that should really give you just a slap in the face of clarity. So when you decide that you want to say no, but you're saying yes, you're saying it to somebody who won't even show up to your damn last day to honor you. And they may even check out if it starts to rain in the sky. Isn't that crazy? And only 10 of these people, 10 people that are there at your funeral are gonna cry. So why are you worried about what other people are saying about you, thinking about you? It really does not matter. So I hope today, after this video, I hope you really look at the most important things that are going on in your life, the most important people. Because some of us dedicate our time to collaborations and trying to get on somebody's radar when the people that love us the most are in the same household, and we should be giving them the majority of our energy and our love. And as an expression of that love, of course, you have to become successful. That is your moral obligation. You need to do that. But at the same time, you need not sacrifice that time that you could have been spending with your son or daughter, giving it to somebody who won't even show up on your last day and definitely won't even cry. They may not even send out a RP tweet. How fucked up is that? And here they are getting you to rush your ass, rush your process, and send them what they want from you. People can get selfish like that, right? It's not a reason to dislike people. It's not a reason to hate them. It's a reason to sit back and say, why should I care about your opinion? And second, why am I giving you all this valuable time that I have? I don't know how much time I have. Why am I giving this all to you? Some things to think about. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. In this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Once again, it's the leading voice of the online rapper and music producer community. Stop living your life for people who won't even be there at the end of yours. Peace. Look up, Nazi. Say cheese.